that things are not right.
We don't know how to act because Scotty's one of our favorite teammates, one of our.
Now, let me just say, James Gunn casting David Cornsweet and Rachel Brosnahan are going to do wonders for Superman Legacy and the DCU overall. I think these are wonderful choices. I haven't been less excited since the day it was announced. I've been more and more hyped, more and more amped about seeing two of my favorite characters of all time, Superman and Lois Lane, and the foundation of these actors playing these iconic roles for the DCU going forward. I'm telling you right now, it's going to be the best Lois and Clark, Superman and Lois you've ever seen in your entire life. Now, the opposite was true unfortunately, with Henry Cavill and Amy Adams. And let me just say this for the Snyder tards who were like, oh, you're just shitting on Man of Steel. Not at all. I love Man of Steel. I think Man of Steel is an absolute masterpiece. I think Man of Steel is one of Zack Snyder's best movies, if not his best movie. That being said, Henry Cavill and Amy Adams had more chemistry than a fucking Walking Dead couple. They were absolutely atrocious together. They had zero chemistry. And when your crux of the movie is Lois Lane being murdered and Clark going over the edge, we need, as the audience, to feel that anger, to feel that loss, to feel that sympathy for Clark Kent, Henry Cavill, Superman. And the audience felt zero sympathy. Why? Because the audience was not invested in that relationship. The audience did not believe that relationship between Henry Cavill and Amy Adams because they had no chemistry, much like Brandon Routh and Kate Bosworth had zero chemistry. The same thing happened here. And that was the biggest problem with BVS, Man of Steel, and Zack Snyder's Justice League.
And I've got to say, in all honesty, it's the biggest piece of dog shit.
I also understand Zack Snyder wanted to take a more grounded, realistic approach to Superman and what if Superman existed in the real world. I get that. And Henry Cavill is a great Superman, was a great Superman. One of my favorites for sure, absolutely. But the problem was general audiences did not like the more darker, edgier take on Superman. And the problem was with Henry Cavill's Superman is Henry Cavill, when you look at the red carpet interviews, Henry Cavill is so naturally charming. Henry Cavill is so charismatic and he's so likable. And compare that to Christopher Reeve, whose Clark Kent is so likable, so lovable that you want to hug him. We like Clark Kent more than we like Superman. And when Zack Snyder, and again, I appreciate what Zack Snyder tried to do, but when Zack Snyder stripped away Henry Cavill's personality, stripped away Henry Cavill's likability and his charismatic charm and presence for a more darker, somber take on Clark Kent trying to navigate through the world that hates him and treats him more like a god and an alien rather than, this beloved superhero. You took away the essence of not only Henry Cavill, but the essence of Superman and Clark Kent. And that's why so many people had a problem with Zack Snyder's take.
I know what it's called. It's called trash.
James Gunn is going to do the opposite of what Zack Snyder did. James Gunn is going to give Clark Kent a personality. He's gonna make Clark Kent likable. He's gonna make Clark Kent lovable. He's gonna make Clark Kent more lovable than most likely Superman. Like Superman is fine. Like Superman is the ultimate hero. He's the Boy Scout. People love him. That's fine. But it's the character of Clark Kent that we, the audience, really need to care for and really need to believe. And not only believe, but be invested in Clark Kent and Lois Lane. And that's why you have David Cornsweet, who, by the way, is also very likable, also very charismatic, and James Gunn is going to utilize that to his full advantage. Same thing with Rachel Brosnahan. Rachel Brosnahan, very charismatic, very likable, very lovable, and also has that sassy brashness that Lois Lane has. And that's why those two components in the actors, those two key factors, is going to make Superman and Lois Lane just so lovable And we, the audience, are going to be invested in that relationship, in that crux, because obviously Superman Legacy is also going to be a love story besides action and drama and all that stuff. And that's why we, the audience, need to be invested in that relationship. And James Gunn is aware of this, and James Gunn is going to deliver just that. And that is the problem that, again, Zack Snyder, again, and this is not me bashing Zack Snyder, not at all. I'm telling to the Snyder tards who don't get it why so many people had a problem with Zack Snyder's take. I loved the whole godlike imagery. I love the fact that the audience will and the people inside the DC world looked at these heroes as godlike beings. I absolutely love that. But the problem was it was so self-serious to the point where the audience is not having fun. And he stripped away the joy of looking at Superman as this, this beacon of hope, this beacon of joy. And again, I hate going back to Christopher Reeve, but look at the Christopher Reeve movies, right? The reason why so many people love the Superman 1978 Richard Donner film is because, number one, Christopher Reeve is so charming. He's so likable as Clark Kent and Superman. And there's a sense of joy watching Superman. There's a sense of hope. There's a sense of just having fun watching Superman going against Lex Luthor and saving the world, and that interaction between Lois Lane and Clark Kent. That was what was missing with Zack Snyder's take, is that there was no sense of fun. There was no sense of joy. There was no back and forth between Clark Kent and Lois Lane at the Daily Planet. It was all just somber. Everybody hates Superman. Everybody hates Superman. Everybody hates Superman, right? It was just so just in your face, like it's dark, everything sucks, people hate Superman. And you're like, okay, I get it, I got it. like there's no fun watching these movies. And again, I love Man of Steel, but watching Man of Steel, BVS, and Zack Snyder's Justice League, you're not really having fun, right? Like, you're not really like, oh my God, this is so awesome. It's also for me, but for the general audience, that was missing, was the key factors, fun and joy. And that's what James Gunn is going to do. And I think that's why David Cornsway is going to surpass Henry Cavill, because obviously he's going to have more time with more films, but we're going to like him. And that's the most important thing about Superman. Love you all. Stay safe. Mwah. Truth out.
This is all I got.